So one of our favourite social media platforms at the moment has to be Pinterest. Over the last couple of months or so, we have been experimenting with an old account to see if we could build it up with the idea of having it as a source of traffic for one of our affiliate sites, and to see if we can make it its own asset to go alongside that affiliate site. You see, when it comes to selling your websites or online businesses, having included assets such as social media or email lists with large followings can drastically increase the monthly multiplier you can sell the website for. So how well did our experiment actually go? So as you might have guessed from our title, it has worked very well. We have more than quadrupled our monthly viewers. We've 12 times the daily impressions, increased engagement over 4 times, and more than tripled the saves. The clicks through to our actual website has only increased by 11%, but we'll take it, as this was more about building a base of a strong asset, more so than increasing the traffic to the website. But even so, an 11% increase is still amazing. And all this came from just 30 minutes of work each day, and throw in a few extra little tips at the end to help you grow your Pinterest strategy. Okay, let's do this. Right, so first things first, we won't actually be sharing with you our exact account, as its branding is directly linked to the affiliate site that it works with. And like with many affiliate marketers, we don't want the direct competition, but we can tell you some things about it. So it was a fairly well established account with around 100,000 monthly views and around 1,000 followers. So not being too specific, it is in the food niche, which isn't much of a niche in itself, but it will give you an idea of the content and competition that we were facing. First thing we had to do was tidy up the mess. Over the years, we have put a bit of anything and everything into this Pinterest account, and it was messy. So we removed everything that wasn't super relevant to the image and brand that we were trying to portray, and we also tidied up the board, the cover image, and the description. We wanted the profile to look aesthetically pleasing if people were only going to give it a quick glance. This also meant that we were effectively niching down even more so to start with. So at the end of this session, we were left with a much more focused and visually pleasing profile that we could easily build up from. The next thing we did was to build new content. So at this point, we already had content here and there that we were able to quickly repurpose into pins. Now, what we did this time was to utilize the idea pin. The idea pin gives you more creative control to create a multi-layered pin with several pages that all have the ability to be customized. This allows you to create some really interesting pins that hopefully your audience will really engage with. Well, we kind of did that. We did use the idea pin, but we only ever used the first page. The goal here was to make the first page a video with what we call the over-the-shoulder appeal. So imagine you're sitting on a bus or somewhere where you're behind a person who happens to be on their phone. Now, what a pin that has that over-the-shoulder appeal actually has that is unique is the ability for the person viewing over the shoulder to get as much out of the pin as the person on their phone. It's a little difficult to explain, but this generally means that the content is super visual, the audio doesn't really matter, and most of all, it needs to be instantly entertaining. So a very rough example of this would be something like this. This video shows off a very simple recipe, but it has that over-the-shoulder appeal. You don't need the sound, it is visually appealing, and you get all the information you need in an entertaining way. And it makes you want to eat it. It makes you want to try it, and it makes you want to see more. It's super aesthetically pleasing if you were to be viewing it close up or to see it on someone else's phone from across the room. Now, something that doesn't have that over-the-shoulder appeal would be something like this.
Fish and chips, which is my go-to comfort food, served with incredible fries and the most delicious mushy peas. For me, fish and chips screams pod.
Sorry Gordon, I do love your TV shows and this is a great recipe, but this type of content doesn't have that over-the-shoulder appeal that we're looking for right now. It needs sound to understand what's going on. It's too long, and frankly, it's just visually boring, especially compared to the other one. If I was to be peeking over someone's shoulder on the bus, which I don't do, ever. But with this example, there's nothing there that would keep me interested. Okay, so now I hope you kind of get the idea of the type of content that we're trying to replicate here. So we took the most visually enticing parts of the content we already had and put them into video idea pins. Then sprinkle on some nice tags and a friendly SEO title, and then we're done. And then we put them onto relevant boards, and what do you know? One of them went semi-viral. We're in business. But soon after this, we ran out of content. So something we have dabbled with before is creating community content. That basically means we use other people's content with our own commentary or thoughts and ideas on what has been created written on it. This has worked quite well on Instagram, where we would rate people's food dishes and give them a quick, somewhat humorous write-up about what we liked. If you're familiar with Re-Rate Dogs, it's somewhat similar to that. And this is exactly what we did for this account. So we would use other people's content as the base and then build it out in a way that would make it unique, but it had to follow the previous rule of being over the shoulder friendly. So here's an example. We would go over to TikTok and find a video that has gone viral that meets the criteria that we're looking for. Then use a website called Snaptic to download the video. Now at this point we would message the user and tell them what's going on. Most of the time they don't mind and sometimes actually even thank us for giving them free exposure. We would then rate their recipe or whatever the video was with a quick edit. Sometimes this can be done on Pinterest itself. Then upload it, add a nice title, some tags, and a visually appealing cover to grab people's attention, and we are done. Then make sure to credit the original video creator and let the Pinterest algorithm get to work. Oh, and one final thing, we created a board around this that we gave a fancy name and description to that shows off exactly what it is and put all these types of pins into that board alone. And that was our main content strategy. We would warn that you have to do this properly, where you actually add value or something to the content. It's best to speak to the original creator, and you must, and I cannot stress this enough, must credit them. Some people don't like this type of thing as it's using other people's work, but it can be done in a way that we think is not only morally acceptable, but also genuinely useful to both you and the original creator. So tread carefully. But you know, if it's done well, it can be incredibly powerful. The next thing we did was to utilize software to help us out. There are many different pieces of software on the internet that can help automate this process. We've used software such as Buffer, Tailwind, Social Sprout. Personally, we love Social Sprout as they have an all-in-one platform for social media that has a bit of everything. But Buffer and especially Tailwind work well for Pinterest. But we didn't forget to manually get involved as well. The automation would help us pin things to certain boards and manage other parts of the process. But at the end of the day, it's always useful to actually get onto your account and go through and interact with people who comment and keep adding pins to your boards. And that's about it. The biggest thing for us was the creation of new content that had that over-the-shoulder appeal. This definitely helped us to grow, which you saw from the start of this video. So in addition to all of this, we'll be releasing a video on affiliate marketing on Pinterest in the near future. So make sure you subscribe to not miss that. Until next time, thanks. So how has our experiment actually got on? And give them a quick, somewhat humorous write-up. Yeah, it was write-up.